Have a PDF pattern that you're super excited to create? I got a really fun one for this Valentine's Day. I just finished drafting it last week in Adobe Illustrator, and if you want to see that one, definitely check it out here. And I am super excited to print it out, tape it together, cut it out, and then actually build this shirt. Hi, I'm Christina Hadley Dyke Roosevelt, and I am super excited to walk you through how I'm going to create this fun knit shirt for this Valentine's Day. Let's go take a look.
So first we're going to print off our pattern, and I have numbers on every single one of my pages so that I can easily line them up and puzzle them together much easier. I'm lining up the lines and taping right over the places that I'm going to cut, as well as any large blank space, so the patterns nicely stick together and I don't have problems later on. Next, I'm going to cut it out. So I also have the seam allowance included in this pattern because it's in knit, and I'm not going to be tracing the stitch line onto the fabric this time. I'm just going to be cutting it out and serging it together edge to edge. I do have two rotary cutters, one for paper and one for fabric. I do find that it helps keep the fabric one sharp. I always love to lay out my pattern to make sure I have all my pieces and it looks good. Now it's time to lay out this fabric. I'm going to be cutting everything on the fold, and I have a bottom piece and a sleeve that I'm going to start off by cutting first because they are on the large fold. But to ensure that I'm using the fabric the most efficiently, I'm actually going to be cutting the top on like a half fold so that I can have a bigger piece of square that is a remnant later on. And I also needed this because my center front I want to do on the fold, so I had double fabric right on the center front, and this is how I got there. So next I'm just pinning on my pattern pieces. My center front and my center back go on the fold, and because they're straight lines I can have them right there or butting up against each other. And I just pin these on to make sure that they don't move on me and I know that the grain line and everything's good. But you can use paperweights, there's lots of different things you can use. I just like to use pins because then I know it isn't moving no matter what happens. And then I'm just going to rotary cut around all my patterns so that they are cut out. There we go. Now it comes to serging. So this is the very first piece that I'm doing, and it's actually the center front piece that's going to gather down that front. I'm doing it because I need it flipped out and I'll need it for later. Next, I'm going to actually start finishing off the back. So I have a strip of fabric that I'm going to line up with the top edge of my center back piece, and I'm just going to stretch it just a little bit to help pull in that fabric just a little bit. This will create a really nice edge for me to work with on the center back and the neckline as well. So now I'm going to be attaching the center back to the side back, and when I get up to where that finished piece is, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take another piece of this strip and I am going to actually fold it in nice and neat. I'm going to place it between the two fabrics and I'm going to serge it on. And again, you can stretch this just a little bit to help ensure that it's not overstretched or anything, and it'll help really seal that down to your neckline. Now, I will have to go back and hand sew that. I could have serged this a slight bit differently, but I chose not to. I decided to go back and do it. And there we have it. There are both sides of the back. Now it's time to start on the front. So I'm going to pin that very first piece that I did, fold the top ruching part in half, and start lining it up along this pattern piece. Now I want to make sure that as I'm going over all those layers right in the center, everything's lining up perfectly. So I'm just going to go nice and slow. Line everything up so that it fits nice and perfectly. There we go. And there's the front with the top edge finished off. Now I'm going to connect the center front to the center or the side front. And I'm going to be doing the exact same thing that I did on the back. So once I get up to the top edge, go around the curve, get up to that top edge, I'm going to do the same thing, except I'm going to leave it on the inside this time so that I'll just sew it on the inside and nobody will see the beginning of it. Oh, I missed. So I let's see if I can get that. Nope, I couldn't get it under there. So what I have to do is I'm going to replace it. And I'm actually going to throw a pin in this. Make sure that when you do pin, you pin far away from that thing, from the edge of the seam, so that your serger doesn't catch it at all, because a nick on that blade is no fun. And I'm just going to keep serging this edging on. There we go. And then I'm going to repeat on the other side. Line up those edges, add the little bit of strip of fabric, ensure that it's in the right placement, and stretch just a little bit. There we have it. So now I have a front and a back. So now it's time to actually connect them up at the shoulders. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start serging and stop after a couple things, pull the serging back and around and cut it off. This way there's no sergy bits hanging off the front of my blouse. Then I'm going to serge the sleeve in, and then it's time to hem. I'm going to use a purl edging stitch. If you'd like to see how I set up the machine, definitely check out this video here. But it creates a very nice edge look. And then the last thing is to do all the detailing work. So I decided to do a whole bunch of hand sewing. So I flipped all the raw edges to the inside, and I just whip stitched around, and this is just going through the serging seam, so it will not be seen on the outside of the garment at all. This creates that ruching at the center front that I love. And then I'm going to go around to all 4 of the neckline edges, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to just do a tunnel stitch, whip stitch to sew them down to each other, and then I'll move to the back of the garment and actually tie off the knot. And I'll do that in all 4 places to just get that really nice detail to hold them nice and secure. And there is another one that it's just an easy stitch, but it really makes a difference. And I could have done this while I was serging. However, I chose to just add a little bit of hand sewing right at the end of this project. I am super excited to try this shirt on and wear it out for the night.
And there you have it. Now we have a fun Valentine's Day shirt for us to wear this coming Valentine's Day. I love working with knits. It's so much fun. And I believe there are tons of fun patterns out there that we can create together. If you're interested in learning digital apparel patterning in Adobe Illustrator, make sure to like and subscribe and check out some of my other videos, kind of like how I walked you through how I pattern drafted this shirt. I hope you have a wonderful Valentine's Day this year, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.